They say the worst kind of monster is the one who doesn't know it's a monster, but they're wrong. The real nightmare is the monster who knows exactly what it is and learns how to control it. I wasn't born calm. I wasn't born patient. I was fire, chaos, sharp edges tearing through anything that stood in front of me. The world looked at me, and all it ever said was, too much, too loud, too dangerous. So I tried to cage myself, tried to be what they wanted. I swallowed my anger, forced my fists into stillness, cut pieces of myself off just to be tolerated. And every time I bent, every time I stayed silent when my soul screamed to fight, something inside me snapped a little more. But here's the truth. No one told me. You can kill a man with rage, but you can destroy an empire with restraint. A wild beast is dangerous, but a disciplined monster is invincible. And that's what I became. Not the chaos they feared, but something worse, something colder, something untouchable. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel empty. It feels heavy, like it's watching you, pressing down on your chest until every breath feels stolen, not given. That silence has been my closest companion. It knows the truth about me. People look at me and they see what I allow them to see. The calm, the steady, the still. But beneath that stillness, there's something else. Something I stopped running from a long time ago. They say the worst kind of monster is the one who doesn't know it's a monster. But that's a lie. The real nightmare, the one people should pray never comes alive, is the monster who knows exactly what it is and learns how to control it. I wasn't born calm. No one ever held me in their arms and said, this one will grow into peace. I was a storm from the start. I was fire without a match, a blade without a sheath. And the world, oh, the world doesn't like fire it can't put out. It doesn't like blades it can't control. So they tried to break me. They tried to tame me with words that cut sharper than knives, with betrayals that left scars no one can see. They told me I was too much, too angry, too dangerous, too wild, and maybe I was. Because when I look back now, I see it. I see that rage boiling in my veins, that raw power trembling in my hands. But I didn't know how to use it. I was a weapon swinging wildly, cutting myself as often as I cut anyone else. So I tried to cage it, to bury it. I forced myself into silence, into stillness, into being what they needed me to be. Every time I swallowed my words, every time I held back my fists, every time I let someone spit on me and smiled like it didn't matter, I carved a piece of myself out and threw it into the fire. But here's what no one told me. You can kill a man with rage, yes. Rage burns hot, it consumes fast, and it leaves nothing but ash. But if you learn restraint, if you learn to command that fire instead of letting it command you, you don't just burn down houses, you burn down empires. A wild beast is dangerous, but a disciplined monster, that's invincible. And that's what I became. Not the chaos they feared, but something colder, something worse, something untouchable. Betrayal never comes all at once. It arrives like a slow death, a series of small cuts you don't notice until you're bleeding out. The first cut came from a so-called friend. I remember the day like it's burned into my skull. I told him something I never told anyone. The kind of truth you bury deep. The kind of truth that takes courage to release. I thought I was safe. Thought he would guard it like I would have guarded his. But hours later, I heard my secret echoing out of another mouth. Laughter followed, and that was the first time I realized some people don't want to carry your truth. They just want to use it as a weapon when you're not looking. The second cut came from family. Blood is supposed to mean loyalty, right? That's the lie they sell you when you're young. I still hear the words, "We'll always be here for you." Empty. Hollow. Because the moment I failed to fit their image, the moment I stopped being their perfect little reflection, I wasn't family anymore. I was a burden, A shame, something to gossip about in hushed tones at the table instead of someone worth fighting for. And nothing hurts like realizing the people who should defend you are the ones sharpening the knives. And with each cut, I changed. A little colder, a little sharper, a little less willing to believe, until one day I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the eyes staring back. They weren't soft anymore. They weren't begging for trust or love or loyalty. They were hard, focused, dangerous. Betrayal had done its job. It had carved out the person I used to be and left behind something else. It happened all at once. There wasn't a warning. No slow unravel. No graceful descent into rage. It was just snap. Like a bone breaking under too much weight. One moment I was silent, holding it all in, pretending, smiling with clenched teeth, letting them laugh, letting them spit, letting them walk away while I stayed behind. And then something inside me tore open. I remember the sound more than the words. My voice wasn't a voice anymore. It was a roar. Everything I had swallowed for years ripped out of me like a storm breaking glass. The room shook. Faces that once looked at me with pity, with arrogance, with superiority, froze. Their laughter died in their throats. I slammed my fist into the table and the wood cracked. Not because I wanted to scare them, not because I thought it would make them understand. No, because I couldn't hold it in anymore. My body wasn't mine in that moment. It was the rages, all the betrayals, all the nights staring at the ceiling with clenched teeth, all the times I was told to calm down, it's not that serious. It all erupted in one violent, uncontrollable wave, and in their eyes, for the first time, I saw fear. Not because of what I did, but because they finally realized what I was capable of. Because the quiet one, the one who swallowed everything, the one who carried scars without complaint, had finally stopped pretending. That was the breaking point. The death of the person I used to be. I didn't walk away from that moment the same. Something burned out, something else ignited, and once that monster woke up, there was no putting it back to sleep. After the roar, after the fists, after the crack in the table and the silence that followed, something shifted. I should have felt shame. That's what they expect, right? The apology, the regret, the embarrassed lowering of your head. But there was no shame in me. None. For the first time in my life, I felt alive. Do you know what it's like to bleed for years in silence, and then finally taste your own fire? It's not chaos, it's clarity. The rage didn't burn me anymore. It didn't blind me, it sharpened me. Every betrayal, every scar, every sleepless night. Suddenly, it all made sense. I saw the world for what it was. A place that doesn't care about good intentions, doesn't reward patience, doesn't respect silence. The world doesn't bow for kindness, it bows for power. It kneels when it feels the weight of your shadow pressing against its throat. That's when it hit me. I had been wasting my strength trying to prove myself to people who never deserved it, trying to win loyalty from traitors, trying to earn love from liars, trying to wait for justice from a world that feeds on the weak. And I wasn't weak, not anymore. That explosion wasn't the end of me, it was the unveiling, the moment the mask of silence shattered and the monster underneath opened its eyes. I wasn't just a storm anymore. I wasn't just fire lashing out, uncontrolled. I was something new, something worse, something the world wasn't ready for. Because now, I understood the truth. I don't need to be accepted. I don't need to be forgiven. I don't need their hands to pull me up. I will rise alone. For the first time in my life, I felt alive. Do you know what it's like to bleed for years in silence, and then finally taste your own fire? It's not chaos, it's clarity. The rage didn't burn me anymore. It didn't blind me, it sharpened me. Every betrayal, every scar, every sleepless night Suddenly, it all made sense. I saw the world for what it was. A place that doesn't care about good intentions, doesn't reward patience, doesn't respect silence. The world doesn't bow for kindness, it bows for power. It kneels when it feels the weight of your shadow pressing against its throat. That's when it hit me. I had been wasting my strength trying to prove myself to people who never deserved it, trying to win loyalty from traitors, trying to earn love from liars, trying to wait for justice from a world that feeds on the weak. And I wasn't weak, not anymore. That explosion wasn't the end of me, it was the unveiling. The moment the mask of silence shattered and the monster underneath opened its eyes. I wasn't just a storm anymore. I wasn't just fire lashing out, uncontrolled. I was something new, something worse, something the world wasn't ready for. Because now, I understood the truth. I don't need to be accepted. I don't need to be forgiven. I don't need their hands to pull me up. I will rise alone, and I will make them regret ever thinking I was something they could break. That was my awakening. The moment the chaos cooled and became discipline. The moment the wild beast learned to hold its breath, to stalk, to wait. Not weaker, not calmer, just sharper. The world only respects pain, power, and revenge, and I had all three boiling in my veins. Fire can destroy, or it can forge. I learned this the hard way. Rage alone will burn everything. Friends, enemies, even yourself. But rage with control, rage with discipline, that's no longer fire, that's steel. After the breaking point, I didn't run from what I was anymore. I didn't cage it, I didn't bury it. I took the monster inside me and dragged it into the forge. Every betrayal became fuel. Every scar became a hammer strike. Every sleepless night became another layer of steel. I trained myself to hold the fire without letting it consume me, to feel the claws of anger scratching at my chest and not flinch, to hear the whispers of my past. You're not enough, you're too much, you'll never be more than this. And smile, because I knew every word was another weight added to the armor I was building. Discipline wasn't about killing the monster, it was about teaching it when to wait, teaching it when to strike, teaching it to turn silence into patience, not surrender. I became precise. No wasted words, no wasted movements. Every ounce of my pain sharpened into focus. My enemies thought I would lash out wildly, the way I used to. They expected chaos, but chaos is predictable. What they weren't ready for was stillness, because when a monster stops thrashing, when it learns to control its breathing, when it stands motionless in the shadows with fire simmering beneath its skin, that's when it's most dangerous. I wasn't broken anymore. I wasn't waiting for anyone to save me. I wasn't begging for respect. I had turned myself into a weapon, and weapons don't ask, they take. That was the transformation, from raw chaos into something disciplined, precise, unstoppable. A monster, no longer wild, but controlled. The world thought it buried me, but it didn't know I was a seed. Every betrayal, every scar, every broken promise, all of it pressed me deeper into the dirt. But pressure doesn't just crush, pressure creates. And when I rose, I didn't rise as the same fragile thing they thought they left behind. I rose harder, sharper, deadlier. I walked different, spoke different, moved different. Because I wasn't guessing at who I was anymore. I wasn't fighting to prove myself to anyone. I wasn't even searching for their approval. Their acceptance was meaningless. I knew what I was, and more importantly, I knew what I was capable of. I became the silence in the room people couldn't ignore. The presence that made their laughter choke in their throats. The storm that didn't rage anymore, but hovered above them, waiting for the strike. I no longer fought with desperation. I fought with certainty. And there is nothing more terrifying than someone who is certain of themselves, who has tamed the fire inside their chest and turned it into a blade. The wild beast in me had become something else, a predator that chose when to move, when to kill, when to walk away. And the world, it began to feel it. People who once doubted me started to step aside. People who once betrayed me began to watch their words carefully. Respect wasn't asked for anymore. It was taken by presence alone. I rose not as who I was, but as what I was always meant to become. Not broken, not lost, not weak. I became inevitable. Now listen to me, because this isn't just about me. It's about you. You've been sitting there in silence, carrying scars you don't talk about, pretending to be fine while the fire eats you alive inside. You've been swallowing betrayal, smiling through pain, letting the world tell you who you are and what you're worth. And deep down, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the sting of a knife in your back from someone you would have defended. You know the silence of waiting for help that never came. You know what it's like to scream on the inside while the world tells you to calm down and move on. Don't you dare lie to yourself. You feel it right now, burning in your chest. The monster inside you, the one you've been trying to cage, trying to bury. Trying to starve just to keep others comfortable. But here's the truth. They don't respect the cage. They don't respect your silence. They don't respect the parts of you that bend. They respect power. They respect fire. They respect the monster. So stop waiting. Stop begging. Stop hoping they'll suddenly see your worth. They won't. That's your job. Get up. Become it. Stop waiting for permission to be who you were always meant to be. You've been through the fire. You've been cut, abandoned, broken down. Good. That means you've got the fuel. That means the monster inside you already knows how to roar. All that's left is for you to control it, to sharpen it, to rise with it. Don't waste another second playing small. Don't waste another breath apologizing for your strength. Don't waste another day letting them treat you like less than what you are. Stand up, take control. Let them see what discipline looks like when it's fused with rage. Let them feel what it means when the monster learns patience. Because when you stop thrashing, when you stop doubting, when you stop begging, and you finally stand in your full power, the world will have no choice but to move. This isn't advice. This isn't inspiration. This is a command. Rise. A wild beast is dangerous, but a disciplined monster is unstoppable.